Welcome to the Audacity, the only podcast where we will teach you how to be a witch.
I love it.
We have a Therese Lee takeover today, and she's here.
Oh, finally.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and she is here to do just that. She's going to teach us all about witches, whores, and rebels, and the history of American capitalism and what that has to do all with each other. So I've been really enjoying the new series, Therese. So thank you so much for being here today to tell us all about it. We're going to wrap the 19th Amendment, into that as well. And other than that, we have some hot tea for y'all. We have a Black Mirror episode, just a very quick one coming to real life. We have a couple pastors that we're going to shit on today that I'm really excited about.
Yes. Love shitting on pastors.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's really why we're here. It's why they call us witches, right?
Yeah, right. Among other things.
Yeah. And then we're also going to put Megyn Kelly on blast for defending pedophilia. So that's been fun. MAGA's really been coming unglued this week, and we are here for it. So then we also have a awesome mailbag for y'all in which we are going to discuss being child-free and still dealing with propaganda that is pushing you in a different direction, how to deal with that. Like, do we ever get that feeling? We're going to talk about that. And then in our crumpets, I think we're doing another Fuck, Marry, Kill. Are we? Okay, Sovereign lobbied for it, so we're making it happen. And just remember that we are available on Patreon as well as YouTube memberships for the crumpets. And then I'm going to pass it over to Sovereign to tell y'all all about our Patreon.
So we have a new TVIP Patreon member, Rose. Welcome, Rose.
Welcome. Good to have you, Rose.
Yeah. And if you have not joined our Patreon, I have no idea what you're waiting on. We have so much fun over there. You'll get perks like early access to the episodes, ad-free listening, our weekly unhinged crumpet sections. You'll have access to that. It is a lovely feminist community. So come on and join.
Join us. And with that being said, we are going to move on to our tea. And I'm going to start by telling you ladies about a fun new AI feature that literally sounds like the plot of a very specific Black Mirror episode. And if anyone has watched Black Mirror, it's the one starring Domhnall Gleeson, I think. And it's like one of the ones from the first season where a woman's husband dies tragically and she uses she uses software or whatever to bring him back to life. And basically, we just had a commercial come out that is advertising. Basically, you give the app like 3 minutes of footage of your loved one, like a grandma or something like that. And with that 3 minutes of footage, they can basically make this person, they can turn them into like an avatar, and then they can like say whatever you want. Like I'm assuming that there are settings or something like that. The commercial was showing like this young boy talking to his grandma over like a video phone call, and you don't find out until the very end that she has not been alive for a long time, and that the boy's mom actually did the thing with the app and basically created a virtual grandma for him.
Wow.
So it's like necromancy, except digital techromancy. Like what?
Techromancy.
Techromancy.
Yes,
like
it is.
Bringing someone back from the dead with drone instead of like magical spells. Wow.
Literally.
Crazy.
Wow. Okay.
So what do we think? Would you guys want a video phone call grandma?
No.
A ghost grandma?
No.
I already
Right?
have my mother's voice in Speechify, like
Really?
cloned in Speechify. Because sometimes I like to have my mother read me things.
Aw.
That's
We listen,
interesting.
we don't judge.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I have my mother's voice clone. Because first I was just kind of sure the tech. I was like, ooh, look at this cool thing I can do. But then sometimes when I'm writing something and I'm not sure if it's something I want to write, sometimes I'll switch over the voice from my clone to hers. And I'd be like, you really write this? Like, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Sometimes it like gives me an extra like comfort. I don't know.
Aw.
But from the beyond I'm not sure I would want that.
I was going to say, like, that's kind of sweet, I guess. Like, I mean, I don't really see anything wrong with that. I do think it would be weird for a kid, like, to be growing up with a digitized version of a grandma that is no longer alive and did not actually get to watch them grow up, does not actually, like, know anything about them, is just programmed to respond with, like, speech prompts and stuff.
Yeah, that's very weird.
Very
I feel
unsettling.
like
if it works for people, then
I feel like recording a voice when the person's still alive and saying like, "Hey, if I were there, I would blah blah blah" for the kid to listen to or the relative. But like,
people have been doing that since forever. Like recording
because like
tapes
there's that
stuff.
woman who's like an Imagineer at Disney whose mom is the voice of the woman in the crystal ball in the haunted mansion, and she would take her kids and say hi to grandma, whatever. Like that's fine because it was a recording made when she was alive. But this whole give it an AI prompt and it's just it doesn't pass the ick test for me.
I get it.
No, it is kind of icky. I mean, it's just crazy because I don't know if y'all watched Black Mirror in its entirety, but I just remember watching it and being like, okay, like this is something that, we should really buckle up for in like 2050 or something, like once we get to a certain year. And like, just little did I know, it was literally on the tip of our like nose. Like it was right there. Yeah. Obviously in Black Mirror, she gets like it's like a robot. Like he like looks like a real person and stuff, which is also ethically weird. And then spoiler, she ends up getting sick of him and like just puts him in the attic. And like they have a kid together that he fathered previous. And the kid is like, well, can I talk to dad? And like they got to go get him out of the attic. Like it's very dystopian, very, very weird.
Well, like think of this question. If you'll get sick of a regular human man, did you think you wouldn't get sick of the AI one?
That's my question.
That's built based on the real one?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably get sick of him too.
Yeah.
Right.
Eventually.
That and just I think it's like knowing it's not real. It's kind of like when you first get like a Furby and like they're awesome or whatever. Like I'm obviously dating myself here, but like, when you first get like one of those little interactive toys, like it's awesome. But then after a while, it's just like, it's not real. It won't shut up. You're just trying to kill it, like smother it in your closet with like whatever.
No, not murdering a Furby. Come on.
Listen, why won't it stop talking?
Oh my God.
All right. Okay.
No, I had no idea Lisa was a Furby murderer.
I'm a murderer. Absolutely.
You tried to suffocate it?
Absolutely. Got on my nerves. And I waited so long to get one. I was
wanted
one.
How long did it take you from the time you got it till you got sick of it? Really?
Weeks. Yeah.
That is the most Eastern European thing you've ever said.
That
Lisa,
is
that story
so
about the Furby.
funny.
That is the most.
Listen.
I just smothered that bitch.
Yep.
Because sometimes
he's swimming with the fishes now.
Stop it. Oh my God. Oh my God, that's so funny.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, you guys ready to make fun of some pastors?
Yes. Oh, please.
I live for this.
Let's go. I don't know which one we're getting first, but let's find out. Surprise us, Ryan.
Social media, a long time ago. It's just a playground for good things, but also evil. So as much good as you can get out of it, you get a lot of evil. And the person who goes around calling churches and putting the voice of a baby crying in the background, and I say, really the person is low. So, I got to teach these men over here, if I want to apologize, I want to apologize to the devil. Sometimes Christians get so weak, you forgot we're supposed to rebuke evil. So if you could pretend to have a crying baby to try to call churches and to trick people into things. Now, let me tell you something about living faith. We fed thousands of people. Thousands, not hundreds, thousands. I can't tell you how much money have gone out. Now, we don't advertise it because I'm not a social server. I don't have a big box of money that I sit there and just tell them to pass by. As long as the members of Living Faith know, and I say, we in the middle of feeding people, how you going to do your little dirty deed? And it's just the spirit of a witch. It's a witch.
So I thought that would be fitting, Therese.
Yeah, right.
I thought you might like that. Sovereign, thank you for finding that clip. But I was like, I'm going to cut it right at the witch part so we can get up right there. But isn't that crazy? Like the fact that he was like, oh, she's trying to trick us. No, she's not trying to trick anybody into anything. She's genuinely calling to see if y'all are as pro-life as you say you are.
Yeah. And who did she trick when they said no? They said no. So who did she trick exactly?
Right. It seems like the churches are tricking us because they're like, oh, like we feed the poor, we feed the hungry, like we take care of, you guys don't need a social safety net because churches are supposed to take care of the community and da-da-da. And it's like, oh, but you don't take care of the community. Like what community could be more important to take care of than the most vulnerable, like single mothers with babies? But they'd rather demonize somebody for being a single mother. Yeah. There was another pastor who was like, oh, I'd be pissed if my church was handing out formula to a whore, to a single mother.
Stop it.
I didn't hear that one.
I didn't hear that one either. Mm-hmm. Wow. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is what's actually happening at these churches. And I just came across a clip like about an hour ago where they said, I forgot the number right now, but there was a whole lot of churches that are projected to close this year, apparently. And I'm happy. Like, I'm like, that's the best news I've heard. Like, I'm so like geeked because they don't pay taxes. They get over on people. They try to guilt you into giving to the church, but really, meanwhile, you're just buying your pastor a Lamborghini or a Rolls Royce or a private jet. Meanwhile, like I said before, like the week before, you driving to church in a hoopty and you can barely afford your mortgage and things that you're going through. And then they're still trying to get you to, they're like, I don't care about you getting evicted. I don't care about your kids not having school clothes or school uniforms. You're supposed to give to God. This is what they're doing. And the very fact that he called her a witch, like, really? She's a witch because she did a social experiment.
Two things. It's always been about that. Churches have always been about money and power. The first organized church in the West, the Roman Catholic Church, they were also one of the biggest landowners in Europe at the time. So they were really like a noble house almost, And the second thing is, the more I dug into making this series and the more I listened to these pastors talk, it becomes very, very evident very early that a witch is just a woman they don't like.
Yep.
Or a woman they can't control. Or a woman that won't follow the rules. A woman that talks too much. A woman, it's just a woman. A witch is just a woman.
Literally.
No, literally. Literally.
And this proved it. She called to do a social experiment about baby formula, and she's a witch because of baby formula? Really? That's all it took. That's literally all it took.
There's that tweet by the infamous Steven Anderson. He's been a huge asshole all over the place. But yeah, he said, I would be pissed if I donated to a church and found out they were giving the Lord's money to single mother whores. Wow. I would want it to go to the Lord's work or toward helping godly Christians who are in need. Churches should not be funding fornicators and their bastards.
Wow.
So that's how they think of children. Yeah. That's how they think of single mothers.
These pro-lifers.
And even the phrase, single mother is so disingenuous because it's like, it's more like an absent father situation. Like, what do you mean? If men were better people, there would be less single mothers because you would stay and help the woman that you had a baby with. You would, regardless whether you're in a romantic relationship with her or not, your child would still have a father.
Absolutely.
Instead, these men run off completely and just check out of their child's life and whatever. And the people that get blamed for it are the single mothers.
And did she give any indication she was a single mother?
Exactly.
Or did she just say she was a mom? So what was it that made them automatically think she was single? Like, she could have just been a mom. The husband could have been working the triple shift he has to work to make the money that they still can't afford to feed the baby. Like,
maybe he died in war. Like, who knows?
Right.
Maybe he died in a car accident.
Right. Maybe she's a widow.
If you're poor, you're a single mom and you deserve to be poor, so we shouldn't help you because you're a filthy, filthy whore.
Mm-hmm. What is the Lord's work? What could be more Lord's work than that? He's like, I'd rather see you go to Lord's work. Like, building another church, making your building bigger, adding another PA system, like adding a fucking smoke machine to your stage. Like, that's what he's talking about.
You'll find that the Lord's work is making sure the church and the Lord stay powerful and feared. That is actually the Lord's work and nothing else.
Oh,
and this is proof that pro-lifers are not pro-lifers. They are bring the baby here, and then when the baby here gets here, we don't give a fuck if the baby is in the background crying for formula. Just it's on you. but they deserve to live, but they don't deserve to eat while they're living. So yeah.
Absolutely crazy. It's like you would think we've come a longer way from like children just being born to be like workers and farm hands and everything like that. But we just haven't. They're literally like, have these babies so they can work for Jeff Bezos. Like, we need a workforce. So you better pump them out and then figure out how to feed them and whatever.
Sorry.
And then when they like need money desperately to survive, they can join the army. Like, what do you mean?
Exactly.
If we help them, they're not going to need to do any of this shit.
This is your investment, not ours.
Oh my God.
Gosh.
Yes.
Okay. Can we see an example of the Lord's work, Ryan, over here? Can we see what churches are using their money for? Please.
The Bentley that I park in this church is not just for me, it's for the house of God.
Can we drive it?
No, God wouldn't want that in Jesus' name. Now listen,
Amen,
the
Pastor.
Lord blesses us so we
King, that king in the back. Can we drive it?
Yes.
No.
That's the Lord's work. Good job. Good job.
Oh
everybody.
my God. That literally, when I saw that, I was in tears. I was like, that is crazy. The way he did not miss a single beat. He's like, no, the Lord would not want that in Jesus' name.
Everything is
Jesus.
in Jesus' name.
The guy who flipped the tables and for the money changers in the temple, like he would be cool with your
literally.
Bentley, sure.
He would be so thrilled. He's like, no, don't let none of these other people drive it. And just to be clear, like this is like a funny, like comedic moment. And I loved it. Like this was just the funniest clip ever. But just to be clear, like there are so many pastors that came before this pastor that normalized it, like Joel Osteen, like Kenneth Copeland, who won't fly in a commercial airplane because they're full of demons. Yeah, he said it's a tube full of demons. Why would I get on that rather than taking my own private jet? And I'm like, yeah, the church is really a place where men go to feel special because they're not special.
Don't forget
otherwise.
Creflo Dollar. He went viral a few years ago talking about a private plane or a private jet. He was another one.
It was like literally the fundraising drive. He was like, I need a new private jet. Like,
and didn't he say something like, if you don't donate money, then I can't remember what he said, but it was
some
very
kind
offensive.
of threat to your afterlife. It was a threat to your soul. It was like, if you don't donate money, I'm not sure you're going to get into the kingdom of heaven. Like something like that.
Yeah.
And then that one guy who would always tell people, Mike Murdoch, I think, something like that. He was always talking about send $1,000 or sow $1,000 seed to his church so that God can bless you and pay your rent and whatever else. Yeah.
Yep.
And people do it. People were doing it.
This is the Lord's work, though. I mean,
that's the weird
part. And it's like, dude, have you read the Bible? Because you are the Pharisees in that situation. Like you are literally the people that are like Jesus would condemn, that he would be like, you guys have all these churches and you wear all these robes and you do all this, like, you know, you pray in the streets and stuff so that people can see you. But like the Lord knows what's in your heart. And it's like, you just can't convince me that a diamond encrusted Bentley or whatever is like meant like that Jesus would be okay with that. Like he literally said, sell everything you own and give it to the poor.
Literally what these tithes, they're supposed to give like something 10%. There's a passage in the Bible. Tithes are basically like mini indulgences. You know what an indulgence was? When, for those in the audience that don't know, when you could pay a priest to like get a seat in heaven.
Yes.
So like paying for to get beyond like the velvet rope at Studio 54, you like pay your 15,000 florins or whatever the hell it was back in the ducats, what currency was. But yeah, you could pay to get a spot in heaven. And they would literally use that as a fundraising mechanism when the papal states had to go to war because soldiers and food and wine is expensive.
I just think we should bring back persecution. Like, we got to start persecuting these people. Like, I mean, I don't know. And I don't believe them when they say they were ever persecuted, but like, what if, what if?
You're part of the majority culture. You can't be persecuted.
Some light persecution. Like, just some light. I mean, listen, maybe pay some taxes. I feel like they'd feel very persecuted by that.
Yeah,
maybe they're required now to keep formula in the churches.
I was just going to say,
stocked and available.
If you feel persecuted by a woman acting for baby formula, because the way oh my God, you would have thought somebody burned his church down. He was so angry.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a witch.
And just the words people are using. These younger pastors are in their 30s and they're using words like fornicating. What was it? Fornicating bastards.
Bastards,
Like, what? Am I
yeah.
being slut shamed in 1957? Like, what is
Yeah.
going on? That guy's like 30.
No,
That's
seriously.
so weird.
Seriously.
I still get called what is it? Bad wench.
Jezebel?
A bad wench. For dating
I get
a white
called
man.
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
For
get called
for
that
dating
too
a
a
white
lot.
man. You're bad.
Yeah,
you're
I
a
got
bad
called a
wench.
Jezebel so many times I literally named my fucking podcast that.
Oh, and I love
Yes.
it
it
was
so
happening
bad.
so often.
I love it
I'm
so
just
bad.
like, I'm just gonna name my podcast this. But yeah, like it's so weird. All these old terms, just recycling, just to like tell women once again how much they hate us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, speaking of women, some women hate us too. So I don't really. We just can't win, can we? Let's
No,
we
roll
really
this clip
can't.
from Megyn Kelly talking about the Epstein files.
This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10. I was under 14 when I first came within his purview. Look, you can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. You know, it's just whatever. It's sick. Every time we start talking about Epstein, it makes your skin crawl. Right? The whole thing is just disgusting.
Totally.
Okay. The last time I checked, your frontal lobe does not develop until 25-ish, after 25-ish, right? So we're talking about a full 10 years plus where you have no idea if you're coming or going. Like, this is a fucking child at 15.
It's the responsibility of the
adults.
grown adults around you to not rape you. Like, I don't understand. Like, what do you mean? What is the confusion? Children are children and adults are adults.
Exactly.
Like, adults are responsible for children. We've decided that as a society. That's why we come to think of these kinds of crimes as some of the most heinous and some of the most like, dun dun, like, come on. Like, this is literally Law and Order SVU.
Yes.
Like,
you literally don't have the brain faculties to understand what's happening.
What is the most disturbing about that clip, other than everything? But from a propaganda standpoint, notice how she sandwiched that statement in with admitting, oh, this is disgusting. Oh, I'm not excusing it. Oh, this Jeffrey Epstein stuff is sick. But yet in the middle, she says it's okay for an adult man to fuck a 15-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's not as bad as a 5-year-old. Like, these people, the shit that they will rationalize. And I'm not to the point where I don't expect MAGA to ever abandon Trump. Because I don't expect them to. Because if this shit doesn't do it, nothing will. Even if we find out he did rape a 5-year-old, I don't think even that will make a difference.
It wouldn't.
I honestly don't think it would.
They will make some excuse like, oh, maybe it was a rough time in his life, or maybe you know what I mean. They'll find a way.
For sure.
They'll find a way. It's just, I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. Look at what's happening to the country and the people who voted for that. Like, literally, this is what. So they're absolutely, and even if they ever felt any kind of regret on the inside, they'll never share it because they're. I don't even know. Do they have too much pride? I don't know. I don't know if it's pride. But they would never, a lot of them would never come out and admit it, even if they did feel differently. But I don't even think their brains are even capable of feeling any different. Hence why we're in the situation we're in now in this country in the first place.
I also think, like, why were so many of them so loud about it in the first place? Like, it's almost like, you know, like they were all like QAnon and like this global cabal and like all this. And now you literally, you know, a lot of people are speculating that this is probably what they're actually afraid of, like finding in the files, like them like hunting people and shit, and like cannibalizing
They're softening
people.
the ground for whatever's coming.
It's coming,
So that if it turns out the victim was 15 or 16, they can revert back to, oh, well, at least it wasn't. They're preparing the audience. The propaganda they're using is preparing people to normalize this kind of shit so that when you do get the picture of the name of the 15-year-old, it's
not so bad. Yeah.
No, literally. Yeah. So it's like, it's very interesting to me. It's kind of like the whole people that are very vocally anti-LGBTQ or whatever. It's almost like I don't know. Like, why were you guys on such a crusade about it only to cool off? Like, oh, see, he actually kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his estate. They weren't even that good of friends. How come they have like photos together, like dozens of photos together, dozens of like flight logs? Like he refers to him by name in like over 1,500 emails, like just of what we know.
You know how like in old like movies, there's always people with like pitchforks and they're coming to tear down whoever the intruder of the town is or whatever. And then once they actually get there, they don't actually want to do anything. They'll run for their lives once the heat gets too hot. That's what I feel about them. Like, I think they were just following the crowd. It's like, okay, well, this seems popular to be against this whole thing. It seems popular to want them to release the Epstein files. So let's bitch about the Epstein files without really even, I don't even think most of them even thought it would ever come to pass, if that makes sense. I just think they were just doing it just to fit in. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense.
They've been told, though, for 5 election cycles that it's Democrats that are the pedophiles.
I was going to say,
Pizzagate, that Hillary had a secret sex ring in the basement of a pizza parlor in
I
D.C.
remember that.
So their excitement about the Epstein files was they thought it was just going to be full of Democrats. Yeah. And it turns out
that makes
both
sense.
Democrats and Republican men are disgusting.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like...
Exactly. At the end of the day... the day's gonna end and you're gonna find out, over and over
Everybody's
again.
a pedophile.
Yeah, literally. Like all these men,
gonna find it out.
It's almost like all these men only want access to money and power.
So they can do that. Yes. I literally
just said that. They can do whatever they want, including fuck children.
Absolutely. And they want their money. I just said this in one of my videos the other day. The only reason why they want the money and the fame and all that is so that they can have access to whatever women they want and whatever sexual depraved acts like children or whatever they're into behind closed doors, so that if it's ever found out, their money can get them out of it. That's literally, they just want to be invincible at the end of the day.
It's so true. And really, I mean, we kind of talked about this off air before the show, but it's just like, I don't think anything is going to take this down or like really make a huge difference. Like, I don't think we're going to live to see him like jailed or even handcuffed and investigated. Donald Trump,
the president.
Like, even I don't even think he's going to live to see himself.
Yeah, that's even if he survives long enough for the indictment. I'm not even sure that. Have you looked at the cankles on that dude? Yes. Some serious edema there going on. That's not a healthy person.
That's
from
absolutely
your lips, Therese, to God's ears.
That's heart failure. Like, that's
we're not threatening the president, just FYI.
No, we're not. I worked in healthcare. I worked in healthcare for a long time. That edema, and I'm pretty sure if you were to poke your finger,
it would stay.
It would stay. Yeah.
That's not a good sign.
That's a sign of heart problems, heart failure, or even kidney. But usually, once the kidneys go, the heart goes, and vice versa. So it's only a matter of time before the other one. So either way, I just don't think he's well. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Well, that was some hot tea, ladies. I think we're ready to move on to our main segment and talk all about rebels, witches, and whores, and what is going on with the 19th. Yeah, I was going to say, when you have Therese Lee on, of course.
Exactly.
And yeah, discuss more about her series and how everything is connected to the 19th Amendment. So stick around and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We are here with the Therese Lee. And she is just, I'm going to let her tell y'all about herself in a little bit, but we are so excited to dive into the series. There's a link to the series in the show notes. Make sure that you check it out. Make sure you sign up. It works just like a course. And my husband and I have been going through it. We're about, I don't know, like 40. We're almost halfway through it. And we got through all that in like one day because it was so interesting. Like genuinely it just is the way it's laid out. It flows so well. I've just been loving it. But without further ado, can you just tell our listeners who may have not heard about you, which I'll be really surprised.
I know.
But, just give us the spiel, Therese.
I am Therese. I am a lawyer. I am an ex-corporate finance lady, and I'm a full-time feminist content creator. And I have done 2 long-form series. The first one was Red Pill Nation, and the latest one is called Witches, Whores, and Rebels. And it is about how patriarchy, capitalism, and white supremacy worked together in order to bring us to the point that we are now. It's about how the witch hunts were used by the ruling classes to break class solidarity among the peasants, to realign women's labor and recapture it into the home, to solidify that system so that their primary responsibility would be the reproduction of the workforce and nothing else. And also, it has action steps on where we move forward from here. So it's sort of like I bring you full circle with all of this stuff. People ask me, like, how did you think of the series? First, the title was workshopped a lot. Because I got a marketing lady, and we were like,
I love it.
And I was just like, what if I just called it Witches, Whores, and Rebels? And I was almost joking. She's like, that's perfect. That's it.
That's the one.
Totally
that's the title.
Yes.
Right. So that's what I came up with. The series is the original idea for it came about in a time when I was really starting to interrogate my politics and interrogate my feminism. A couple of years ago, I read an article that was published on the American Enterprise Institute's website. As some of you probably know, that's a conservative think tank. And they had this article. It was called like The Rise of the Woke Single Woman, or The Rise of the Woke Single Voter, or something. Ooh, yes, right? So I was reading this article, and all this time we think that when we talk to conservatives, we think to ourselves, well, if only they knew. If only they knew the facts, then clearly they would side with us. That just means they're ignorant and they don't know. But in reading these conservative think tanks, their writings that come from these own institutions, oh, honey, they know. They know, because they are getting very freaked out. And this was 2 years ago. And this data even dates back, even like a decade ago, they were starting to notice this. They know that single women vote very differently than married women.
Yep.
And so the rise of the single, woke, and young Democratic female, that's what it was. So they were talking about the differences between single women and married women and how they vote. And this is why they're trying to get women married young, because they noticed that the attitudes that most distinguish single women from other voters from their own survey data shows that married men and women are far more likely than unmarried, they use the word females here, which is telling, married men and women and single females.
Boo.
Wonder. They are more likely to think that women are well treated or equally treated, versus single women see themselves and their fates linked to other women. And that is why they want to get you married, because they know that the longer you stay single, the longer you are going to see your fate tied up with the fate of other women. And that's going to cause you to vote more progressively.
Quick question. So you said that they see married women think that all women are treated equally, or they think that they're treated better?
They're more likely to think that women in general are treated equally. Basically, that like feminism isn't needed, like that kind of stuff. Like, everything's fine. We're great. I have a job and a checking account. What's wrong? It's like paradise up in here. But when you read these organizations' own information, you realize that, they know that this system is shit. They know that marriage sucks for women. They know that working in this country for most people, most wage earners, is absolute shit. They know that healthcare is crazy expensive. They don't care. Because the year after I read this article, I was on a TikTok live and a woman suggested the name of a book called Caliban and the Witch. And that book blew my fucking mind, you guys.
Taking notes.
I'll write it down.
Blew my mind. It is called, I'll even hold it up because I got it right here. Caliban and the Witch, Women, the Body, and Primitive Accumulation.
Wow.
That is what it is called. And reading this book, I first thought, what the fuck is primitive accumulation? I'd read some, it sounded like a very academic term, and I'd read some Karl Marx and some Engels, and just before that, I had read The Origins of Private Property, Family, and the State. That's a book by Engels. Yep. That's a good one. And so I looked it up, and basically what it is a Marxist term. It means the historical process of separating people from the means of production. That's what it is. That's what primitive accumulation is. So then I thought about it, and then when Roe was overturned, I was like, this is happening right now. We are in another process of primitive accumulation, because when capitalism, white supremacy, patriarchy, when they feel their grip loosening, they hoard more. Roll back women's rights, roll back voting rights for Black people, keep the minimum wage low, make healthcare even more expensive, because they're trying to accumulate more and more and more to separate us further and further and further from the means of production and make us more desperate, and so they can control us more easily. And that is essentially what the witch hunts were.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Because you had these little communities all over Europe, these villages, basically village life. And there was like a town center. And in these villages, especially in England and Germany, you had many, many women involved in the marketplace, involved in trade. You had, at one time in Florence, you had women controlling something like 40% of the private wealth sometime in the 1500s. In England, if you look at the guild records in London, something like a third of the stalls at the biggest marketplace were owned by women.
Yeah.
There was a very successful female entrepreneur in London that couldn't even read. She couldn't even read. And she was just like a full-on total badass. And that doesn't even include the Beguines that basically lived in a feminist commune, 250,000 women strong, scattered all over the Flanders area. They dominated the wool trade for decades. So the men saw this trend of women getting involved in the marketplace. The village healers were women. The people the community looked to, the people leading the protest against feudalism and against the landlords and protesting the rents and the enclosures. Those things were all led by women. And they looked around and said, this is a problem because we want to make some money. So the witch hunts did a handful of things. They destroyed economic class solidarity because they made people fear women and fear each other. So when it came to the landlords or the governor or something putting their foot down on something, people got to the point where they're very afraid, and they were afraid to speak out. They were afraid to protest. And peasant protests during that time were no small thing. They would literally roll up to the Lord's house with pitchforks and whatever, and be like, lower the rents. And they would pull the fences down of the enclosures that were privatized and just go back on the land. They would, and people kept doing that actually throughout, but they literally gangs of peasants would do these things. So it turned men against women in a very specific way, though. It made, for the first time in a very specific way, it made men fear women in a way they hadn't before. It made women suspicious. It solidified these ideas that we have now that are very popular among the red pillars, that women are more emotional, that they're not as intelligent, that we're more prone to demonic influence, that we're sexually promiscuous, and we have this uncontrollable sex drive that has to be contained, and that's why the devil can come in so quickly. You literally hear men talking this way right now, and we can trace all of those ideas back to this time period.
Yes.
So that's when I really started to see the connection between that event, those events, and the red pill, which is what I talked about in my first series. And I made a timeline. There's a companion document to the series, by the way, that has a bunch of information in it. I made this timeline that showed the overlap of all these things: transatlantic slavery, European witch hunts, enclosures, colonization, all of these things. If you look at a bar graph with all of those things, they overlap almost completely.
That's insane.
That was the biggest act, that period was the biggest act of primitive accumulation we had probably seen up until that time. I don't know if anything still yet surpasses it. The amount they stole.
Basically so cumulative
primitive accumulation.
Primitive accumulation is basically the old time version of like a wealth transfer. Like, is that what we would call a wealth transfer these days? Okay.
Yeah.
It includes everything from like land theft to taking away people's rights, voting, everything. Anything that separates people from resources, separates them from the means of production. That is part of primitive accumulation. It includes all of those things.
And when we think about the Salem witch trials, for an example, wasn't that, if I remember correctly, they were like coming up with these laws in order to the women who owned land or something like that? They were coming up with ways to get the women to lose their land, put them in jail or put them somewhere so that they could take over their land or something like that.
Massachusetts Bay Colony at the time, the law said that if you were indicted for witchcraft, and you were convicted, your land was forfeited to the colony.
Yeah.
So there's that very famous story, which I didn't include the series, but it's a story about Giles Corey. You might have heard this story, the pressing of Giles Corey. Giles Corey and his wife were both accused of witchcraft in Salem back in the day, right? And he knew that once the charges were presented to him and he was asked to enter a plea, those of you who know about criminal law, you know that when you enter a plea, that's the process that begins where like the process has begun, and like that's when double jeopardy attaches. That's when all these things. So entering a plea is the beginning of that process. And he knew that he was not going to escape the charges. And his wife was already doomed for the gallows, so he knew he couldn't save his wife. So he just never answered the charges. When they said, how do you plea? He just said, nothing. And then so they took him to the town square. They put a bunch of heavy rocks on him, and they weighed down his body. And they just kept asking him, how do you plea? How do you answer these charges? And he just said, more stones, more stones. Took the dude 3 days to die. But he did that for a reason, because he knew that the minute he answered the charges, his property would be forfeited and his kids would be destitute. And the one thing he did manage to do was preserve his property for his children. Wow. So his children did inherit, and they did not, they weren't destitute. So all this to say, many of the witch trials, all of the witch trials had nothing really to do with witchcraft. Right. But many of them had to do with property, particularly the ones in North America. There were women who were widows and who had inherited property that the state wanted. And as it happens, the sheriff in Salem at that time ended up living in the house of one of the people he prosecuted.
That's crazy.
Of course. He literally moved into the house when they
That was the whole point.
That's the whole point. By the way, that house is haunted as fuck, and I think it's like a boutique hotel now.
Really?
Or something. I think it is. I remember that on the walking tour when I went to Salem a couple years ago. But what you also have to remember about the witch trials, going back to the ones in Europe, is that you'll notice that in places where women really weren't that involved in economics and commerce, places where there wasn't a tradition of that, places where there were no land enclosures, there was the large theft of public land, no witch trials. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. And the places that had the most witch trials was Germany. And Germany, like the strong European economy it is today, has always had a pretty strong, robust economy. I mean, there's a reason why queer people moved there in the 1920s, because it was the best place to be at that time when you were queer. It was super cosmopolitan place, and it had always been a place where women had participated in the marketplace even back to like the 9th, 10th, 11th centuries. And that was the place where the majority of the witches were executed, Germany.
And wasn't it true that you just had to be accused of witchcraft? You didn't even have to actually be doing it.
Because how do you hold a trial?
Yeah. And then the witchcraft was considered stuff like figuring out what certain plants could do. Like aloe vera could like heal a burn, and that's considered witchcraft. Anything. Like, really?
Yeah. There was a woman who, well, first of all, they allowed something called spectral evidence, which spectral evidence was like, I had a dream that I saw Goody Johnson dancing with other witches in the woods.
And that's it.
I saw her spirit over there while she was in the town square, selling what. Like bonkers.
They could just make up some shit.
And your neighbors, one woman in particular, I lost on her name, the woman in particular I talk about, her neighbors testified, and this was the literal evidence against her, that she was suspected for being a witch because, wait for it, she was happy being single.
I can't.
She was unmarried, and she had received, apparently, many generous offers from various gentlemen in town to marry her, to which she said no to all of them. She was happy being unmarried, and she was good at managing a household, and she was good with figures. She was happy and good with math, so she had to die.
Yeah.
That was the witchcraft.
Yeah.
Just doing normal things as a human.
Yeah, I was going to say, when men do it, nobody cares.
No one cares. No. Absolutely no one.
Okay, so can we get into more how this like ties to the 19th Amendment and how because in my mind, that's kind of the first step is to like dehumanizing somebody, is like taking away their rights. I mean, we already had Roe v. Wade taken, and now people, especially after the New York City and the Seattle mayoral elections, people are really, really, really starting to call for this. Mostly pastors for now, obviously, but they're like, repealing the 19th is basically like a must at this point. Like these women are going to vote us into a socialist hellscape, and nobody's going to have food, and there's going to be bread lines and all that. So what are the connections there?
Notice the language that they are using. when they talk about this. Women are dumb.
Mm.
Women are too emotional.
Mhm.
Women can't be trusted. Politics isn't for women. Politics is war. One guy said, I think it was Joel Webben, politics is war. And women weren't built for war. Women were built to be nurturing, soft little people and pinch the cheeks of infants and toddlers. They're using the same reasoning and almost the same language verbatim that was used against women 500 years ago.
That's
when
insane.
you look, you could pull passages directly from the Malleus Maleficarum, depending on the translation. By the way, the Malleus Maleficarum is a book.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry. The Malleus Maleficarum, it's translated to the Hammer of Witches, but really I read that a more accurate translation is the Hammer against female witches. So in particular, Heinrich Kramer, the priest who authored it, was after female witches.
He was an incel.
Yeah, he was basically an incel. Yeah, I go through a whole story about that. I can tell here, you got to watch the series when we go through the whole story. But I'm not the only woman that's figured this out. So you might have heard the story before. But anyway, you could pull passages from the Malleus Maleficarum and map them directly onto the language about the 19th Amendment, about abortion, particularly the focus. They always managed, even apart from the Zohran Mamdani voting for a socialist thing, they always managed to bring abortion into the criticism. They always bring it in, even if it has nothing
they're killing
to do
babies.
with abortion. They're killing white women. If they're not killing their own babies, they're voting for socialists. All of those things, all that language they use, women can't even be trusted with their own babies. That's why we
With
need
their
to
own
watch
bodies.
them. We need to monitor who's pregnant. And they did that in the 15th and 16th century.
Does that
they
sound
did
familiar?
That. Evie has a new app, 28, that Peter Thiel is backing that's tracking your period.
Yeah.
All of these things are happening, and they're using almost the same language. That's the weird thing. It's like it's exactly, and I can't fathom how people can't see it. Like people can't. I guess most people just don't have even a cursory knowledge of history, and they aren't aware that the arguments we use against women today are the same arguments we've always used. And you could even trace this back to the garden.
I keep saying this.
We just talked about this.
I mean, we have a religious tradition that literally blames women for the fall of humankind. Did we expect to have a culture that actually likes women?
Right.
After that? Fuck no.
No. Yeah.
Which is all made up, by the way. It's
made up.
Not even real. That's the craziest part. And we got people literally out here living their lives as if the Noah's Ark actually happened. As if Jonah in the well happened.
That
as if
hoe
any
ain't
of
real.
these things.
That hoe ain't real. Yes.
Jesus, that hoe ain't real. I can't say it as good as her, but shout out to Kate. If Kate's listening to this, shout out to Kate. I love you.
They're going to be coming after us with pitchforks, but it's all
I know,
good.
They already
will.
are on my Facebook comments. They're fun over there. But these when you persecute a woman, you're really just persecuting her for being a woman.
Yeah.
The witch trials weren't about anything supernatural. They weren't about anything spiritual. They were part of the counter-revolution against the peasant uprising against feudalism. Because in that time when feudalism's starting to crumble, the moneyed folks are like, well, this system isn't going to work. We can't actually let peasants run the table because fuck that. So capitalism, the development of mercantile capitalism, this wage-based system, was a counter-revolution to the fall of feudalism and the peasant uprisings. It didn't occur naturally, like Adam Smith and the hand of God came down and said, capitalism, and boom, you're welcome. Like, no, it didn't develop naturally. It was a very specific system that was implemented in order to make sure that they had a constant labor supply at the price that they were willing to pay, and they had enough babies. Because population concerns were a thing back in the day too, because of the plague wiped out like a third to a half of Europe.
I was just about to ask you, didn't you do a piece before on the history of the witch and the Halloween cat? And like why that?
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah. So can you give a quick little brief thing on that so that people can understand?
Single cat ladies.
Yeah.
If you're going to die alone with your... Speaking of, my cat is right here. Yes, my familiar is right here with me. The single cat lady trope is also from the witch trials, because when you were hunting for a suspected witch, you would look for that witch always being in close proximity to an animal. Now, it could have been anything. Could have been like a dog, a gerbil, a goat, but
birds,
cat,
probably.
Birds.
Yeah.
But cats, for some reason, they got focused on cats. And I think the reason why they did had to do with plague.
Yeah.
Because when plague was in town and peaking, people with cats didn't, if you had a cat in your home, it reduced your chances of infection because plague was spread by fleas on rats.
Yeah.
And if you have a cat in the house, it
They'll
can
keep
reduce your rodent population. So reduce your chances of getting sick. And they would accuse you of being a witch because they would say like, oh, well, how come she didn't get sick and we got sick and she cursed us? No, bitch, I just have a fucking cat.
Right.
And she killed half the rats that could have infected me. So,
Exactly.
I lasted a little longer than you. Get a fucking cat.
What the fuck?
But that's sort of the origin story of the single cat lady thing, the crazy single cat lady, a woman who's like lonely and unhinged and, she's going to eat little children.
They always hate women for succeeding. That's the thing. That's the thing in common is, the male loneliness epidemic is because women are just not, they won't settle and women need to settle because otherwise, what are the men are going to
for
die,
succeeding without them.
Yes.
Without men. Exactly. It's like, God forbid you have a cat that protects you from the plague. God forbid you have a job that protects you from a man.
Yeah, right.
That's what I'm saying. The modern day plague, is basically,
Dudes.
women are like having a boyfriend is embarrassing. Like that's the plague. I'm sorry.
Right.
So in a sense,
what
you're right.
is.
The cats are still protecting us from the plague.
You see? Do you see how
These
that
men
works?
who don't want to date cat ladies, like I would literally hold her up to the camera. Cat lady, stay away. Bye.
I do want to see the cat,
look at
though.
this. You're
Low
still
key.
protecting us from the plague.
That's a familiar right there.
Aren't you going to show?
Oh, okay.
I know,
Hold
I was
on. Let me
gonna
see if I
say.
can do it. She's very big.
Yeah, she was very vocal. Oh, the baby.
Oh my God.
She's a perfect
She's
little witchy
adorable.
cat.
I
I
know.
love her.
Say hi to the people.
Look at her.
All right.
Oh
She's
my
literally clawing my
gosh.
arm.
Okay.
So cute.
Sorry.
30 pounds.
She's a big
I was
cat.
gonna say
Huge
she
cat.
looks.
She's a ginormous cat. But yeah, that's where that trope comes from. It comes from that time when they literally thought that we were using animals to like do our spells and somehow, carry out our evil deeds. And it literally lists animals that are like the most likely to be
And
familiar.
now
Like,
we're ruining the workplace with wokeness,
Yeah.
and now,
wokeness.
God forbid, like we're ruining the art of cooking and, because women just don't cook anymore.
what did I miss that article? When was that article?
I think that was actually an
Was that an
older
older one?
article. Yeah. And I'm assuming it had something, it was like, are American women ruining the art of cooking? And I'm like, who the fuck is asking? American women are working 40 hours a
Right.
week,
Plus.
busting their ass.
Plus.
Because the men over here are like, who's going to pay my bills? Like, who's going to take
gonna
me
go
out to dinner?
50-50?
Yeah. Who's going
Since
to go 50-50?
when did the men start cooking other than professional chefs? Like, when were the men throwing it down in the kitchen?
Only when they get
Never.
paid. Only when they get paid.
Exactly.
We have to do it for free.
Yeah.
They're tasks that men do only if there's, pay, pleasure, and praise. Those are the 3 P's, right?
Oh,
I love
that's so
those.
true.
Yes,
I like
that's
that
a
too.
Therese Lee.
Yeah,
Yeah,
MJ.
I love
That's
that.
actually MJ. By MJ, Inappropriate Mommy on TikTok. That's the person I first heard that from.
Okay.
Oh, hell
and
yeah.
when you
Yeah, we
think
love
about
her.
It
She's
tracks to everything. But like, it's just, so many things. You could literally draw a straight line to this time period, and that is the origin of it in its current form. Like, obviously, misogyny has existed, patriarchy rather has existed for thousands of years, but in the form we know it now, using the specific techniques and the language they use now, that's 500 years ago. That's the witch hunts.
Do y'all think that if men were never programmed or socialized to believe that they're superior and they're the head and they're the leader, would they hate women so much now?
No, I don't think so.
No, it's clear that women are the leaders. I mean, that's why you literally broke it down that's why the original witch hunt started, because women were looked to as the leaders of their communities. They were leading the marketplace. They were like all that. And that pisses men off because it's not supposed to be like that.
Exactly. But here's the interesting thing. It wasn't even the majority.
Right.
But it was
true.
a big enough presence, 20%, 10%, was a big enough presence to freak these men the fuck out.
Kind of like what's happening now with the declining birth rates. Most women have babies, but there's a lot more women every year that are choosing not to have kids, but choosing a child-free life, and they're terrified, and now they want to overturn Roe versus Wade, and now they want to do all this other stuff.
Same with like education, you know,
Same
men
with
are not getting their education anymore because it's too many girls. There's too many girls.
They don't even want us. They're
class.
trying to make it hard for women to, you know, go back to college or with the loans or whatever they got going on with that, trying to shut down parts of education and make it hard. It's just gonna get worse.
Yeah, that's targeted mostly towards poor people and Black people, but it has the added effect of looping women. Since we're the ones that are going to college these days, like it has the advantage of, you know, two birds, one racist, misogynistic stone.
Don't you think everybody, because in my mind, everybody lost their mind when that study came out with the studies showing that Black women were the most educated demographic in this entire country. It seems like ever since then, there's just been this, and I'm not saying it hasn't always been a witch hunt on Black people. Clearly it has been. But don't you think it amped up a whole lot more after that? Did you notice that?
It really did. That and the JP Morgan research, or Morgan Stanley, whichever one of the big finance people who cares, with their research that said, you know, 45% of women are going to be single by the year 2030 or something. Right. It was the Black women most educated and that really, like, those two things made everything sort of pop off.
I agree.
Like all the newscasters, red pillars, everybody just went insane. Nearly half women are going to be single by 2030. What are we going to do?
No,
I don't know. Fucker, figure it out.
A lot of red pillars tried to flip that, to try to make it seem like it was the men that were opting out and y'all are going to be single and child free because the men don't want you. We're like, good. Don't threaten us with a good
adorable.
time. That's exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, stop.
Bless your heart.
I wish that were true. I literally wish it were
thoughts and stuff.
I know. Well, okay, so Therese, I was going to ask you, it's just very interesting that all of this is coming right on the heels of like the trad wife resurgence. And obviously when it was happening, a lot of us were kind of ringing the bells, but it was also like the rise in this type of content, like Ballerina Farms, Nara Smith, etc., was kind of happening during the year of girl power, right? Kind of our almost extinction burst, I guess. Like we had the Barbie movie, we had all the, I don't know, just Grammys were all women, etc. And just pop culture was very much like that. And then here comes this completely different, you know, very opposite movement. And I don't know, it's just been very fascinating to me to watch how it took over the zeitgeist and to where a lot of younger women are now like, well, I don't know if feminism was ever a good idea. It's kind of cringe, actually. Like all of these women, like, you know, just always yapping about feminism, this and no rights, that. And, you know, I'd rather just have a baby and be like Nara Smith or be like Ballerina Farms and I'm going to cook for my family. And they're kind of buying into the messaging of women are supposed to be soft. I just want to go to the farmer's market. I just want to read a book. I just want to lay out in the sun.
You can have a job and go to the farmer's market. The farmer's market isn't closed. If you have a job, you can still go there. But there's a few things
lazy.
Happening. This is really, honestly, this is a rebrand of the 1830s. They had something called the Cult of True Womanhood. And all the magazines and all the papers and everything was like, here's how you are domestic bliss. And there were literal, like, you know, fashion plates, like these pictures and like magazines of like these women in their perfect little clothes and whatever. But you had three things happening that were driving that. Number one, you had women, the beginnings of women starting to go to college and starting to enter in slow, and it was a slow creep, but you had a few women going to medical school. You had women starting to graduate from college. You had women getting employed in factories. So women more visible in the marketplace, number one. You had mass immigration from various countries that were not so well liked. And you had a lowering of the birth rate. Now, what do you have now?
Oh, wow.
Immigration, women in the marketplace, and a low birth rate.
History always repeats itself.
Always.
Or it rebrands or whatever.
Or rhymes.
Every fucking time.
Like, it doesn't repeat, but it rhymes.
Yeah, but it rhymes
loudly.
Yeah,
too. It rhymes really
For
loudly.
sure.
And very racist and misogynistically, usually.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when you see those three characteristics through times in history, you'll see again a tightening of the grip. But we got to get women back into the home. We got to portray it like it's this glamorous thing. And it is literally the same thing the trad wives are doing, except we have more advanced media. And the one thing that conservative people, politicians, et cetera, have always been very good at is they've always been very good at harnessing new media for the purposes of their right-wing propaganda. And the first new media they harnessed was the printing press. Because that damn witch book was published in 1486. The printing press was invented in 1440.
Oh my
1440
God.
something. So one of the first things
They didn't even wait a beat.
that the damn printing press did was spread anti-woman propaganda. That's one of its first jobs. There were a ton of like witch manuals and like these treatises on witchcraft. Like lawyers wrote them, priests wrote them, random dudes wrote them.
Oh, it's
Like,
almost
they
like
were
the podcast
everywhere.
bros. Like,
Exactly.
they just, that was
So
their
if
microphones.
if you could read, that was the yeah, you're right. These witch manuals, these witch hunting manuals, they were the podcast pros. And the Malleus Maleficarum was just like, I don't know, the biggest one. He was like the Andrew Tate of the bunch.
Yeah.
And then there was a bunch of other little ones. And they flew off the shelves because people were scared and people were just like, maybe it is the women. Maybe we should just burn the ones we don't like and it'll all be fine. And the crops will
Oh
grow
my
again.
God. Like nothing has changed.
But
Nothing has
here's the thing. In light of history repeating itself, like it always does, the tighter of a grip they try to have on women, our bodies, what we do with our lives, the more we're going to elude them. So just like history before, we found a way out of it, you know, the feminist movement or whatever happened before that. But right now we're going through that same time that happened back then. But guess what? Somehow, some way, we're going to find our way out of it again. But this is another reason why a lot of us, me personally, how we can't stand pick-me's, because they are literally, in my opinion, the number one factor as to why we can't move forward as a group faster. What do y'all think about that?
Agreed. They do two damaging things. Number one, they give the right wing credibility.
Yeah.
Because we say, oh, well, no, we're not sexist. We got a couple
Here's
ladies up here who
women.
agree
Yeah.
with women. We let them talk for an afternoon. And the second thing that's going on is that they will continue to prop up these systems and engage in these behaviors that make it harder for us to dismantle them. So they're used by the right as credibility, and they literally do things every day that prop up the very systems we're trying to dismantle.
Yeah. I blame them even more so than I blame the patriarchy, actually. Because I feel like, no, I'm so serious, because the patriarchy can only exist if we got a certain percentage of women helping it to exist. They're using these pick-me's as pawns. You can't really win a game of chess without pawns. Like you're exposed.
Yeah.
It's all over with, right? And so they're purposely signing up to be pawns day after day after day. And it's like, can we just get to the point already? Because I just feel like the reason why I blame them more is because think about how much powerful we would be as women if like 70%, 80% of women just all got on the same
It'd
page.
be over.
It will be over overnight.
Real quick.
Literally, it will be over.
Even look at the women's strike in Iceland. Like, they literally left the babies at home and went outside for 12 hours and it was over. The men were like, what were the demands again? Yep, check, sign here, sign here. Okay, like, please never do that again, please. Like,
did you see that SNL sketch from like 2 weeks ago with like our wives have disappeared, and then they just
I think I did
went on a
see
business
that.
trip, or
literally
they went out to
Ryan sent it to our group chat.
I did see that.
Yeah. It was so funny.
But it's so true though. But yeah, I honestly think that it wouldn't even take 70%. I think we'd probably do it with 60%.
Yeah.
But
seriously,
it would have to be consistency.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people talk the talk like they have certain leftist values, but when it comes to the follow through part, they're not so
true.
Follow through. And people will, I know you two have been attacked because you're in relationships and people are like, I'm in a non-traditional relationship, so I don't get as much of that heat as you do. But like they're saying, oh, well, you can't decenter men when you have a man in the house. Watch me, bitch. Like it's actually
literally
not that hard. It's not that hard.
Yeah. And he knows it. Like
mine isn't traditional either. At least not to me, it's not.
Yeah, it takes a shift in thinking. And once you've kind of made that shift in thinking, it's like how once you see something, you can't unsee it. Once you've made that shift in thinking, but it takes time because it's like a reorienting of how you process thoughts, how you understand history, and your entire nervous system. Once that gets to the point where it needs to be, no man, whether he's in your house or not, can fuck with your shit.
Facts.
Because you won't allow it. You won't allow it.
I literally keep telling women this. I want with the live that I just did on TikTok a couple days ago, and Lisa came up. Like, we literally just, like, this is just where these women are. The ones who don't believe you can descend a man and be with them, they're not there yet. And I hate to say it that way, but that's literally just, it's that simple. Like, you're just not at that place. It's a canon event. Yeah, it is a canon
Feminism
event.
also has canon events. Like, you're going to go through your anger stage, you're going to go through your depression stage, bargaining, whatever. Like, and not in that order, you know, but like most pick-me's are in their denial stage, you know? Like, it's just, it's one of those things.
Something you said that on the heels of every time they tighten the grip, then we push back. That also always happens, because when this 1830s and 40s cult of womanhood thing was going on, the Seneca Falls Women's Convention, that was 1848. Then you had the abolitionist movement. Then you had the 13th, 14th, 15th amendments. Then you had more women entering college. So kind of like we from about 10 years into that, white women were like, haha, I don't think so. And that the first wave, the first wave of feminism started at like 10 years after that cult of womanhood bullshit. Like 10 years later.
I'm giving us around the same amount of time or less. What y'all think? Because I was thinking the same thing. Like, every 10 years, every 7 to 10.
I would agree because, okay, Therese, what do you think about this? So my latest conspiracy theory after listening to your series, and listen, this is not, okay, don't attribute this to Therese. This is, unless you want credit for it, Therese.
Okay, what's your conspiracy theory?
I'm wondering, because you know how they've been threatening us with AI women and like all that? Like, is that the new means of production? And like, are they freaking out now because they don't think it's going to work? Like, they can't develop the artificial womb. They can't even make a robot like walk in a straight line without it being controlled by a person, right? Because we have like a nervous system in the back of our head that's literally 500,000 years old. Like, that's very hard to replicate and like be spatially aware and everything like that. So these robots are like expensive, ineffective. That video you said, Sovereign, of the guy, the robot
Russian
trying to cook.
And it literally fell. or that's a different one. That's a different one.
It ran into a mirror and it couldn't cook eggs, and it was it was awful.
There was one that Sovereign sent me that was like a robot that was supposed to be cooking or something, and it was just terrible. And I don't know if it's like
cheaper to just learn how to cook.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm wondering, like, maybe their whole plan is not really going to work.
It's not.
Because the whole AI women thing was supposed to be the next, like, shift in that revolution of, like, oh, we'll get the AI women to do the stuff that women don't want to do. We'll get them to, like, birth our children. We'll get them to, like, be the mommy bang maids. Like,
a few things.
Okay. This is why
once again, these are people who clearly have not thought through this plan.
Facts.
Because the first thing is, even if they get the robot to cook, even if they figure out the robot womb situation, even if they figure out how to get the robot to give birth without shorting out or having to control alt delete. Can you imagine if that moment happens?
Right.
The robot lady's trying to push the baby out and like, oh, the system crashed. She's frozen. You got to escape, control, enter, whatever.
You got to
reboot the system, right? Even if they figure out all of that, who's going to take care of those children?
That's my biggest question.
Because we damn sure ain't going to be me.
Because it's not going to be us.
No, I'm not.
That's the first thing. You have not thought through the plan. The second thing is, I don't think it's going to go how they think it's going to go.
No.
Because you know how men, like, they're attracted to the cool, interesting woman, and then they try to make her into a trad wife. If they've made an AI that's already a trad wife, unless they come up with 3 or 4 AIs for them to cheat on the trad wife AI with, because that's what. See, they haven't thought it through.
They have not.
They really haven't.
They have not.
They really haven't.
They don't know themselves. But we know them. And this sedate thing, it's great for household labor, but you're going to be cheating on the AI wife too.
And beating her and all types of stuff.
And beating her, doing all the same things. Because the behavior that men have with technology, with like femme-coded technology, whether it's a voice or an actual image, they build an avatar, they just pull the same stupid shit they pull with 3-dimensional women. They just want to be able to do what they want to a woman, to abuse a woman without consequences. And they can do that if it's an AI woman, because she's not going to call the cops.
Sure, so maybe.
It's just
never know. She might not need to. She might not need
to have shelters for these AI women.
She might be programmed to Eliminate
Depends
the threat.
on if a woman sneaks in and fixes the code in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
I was
and
gonna
has
say
a fail safe for like call 911 or the permanent solution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a robot. It's gonna be stronger than you.
That's what I'm saying.
One thing. That's another thing I don't think they've thought through
They
is
haven't thought of that
that
either. Yep.
they
That's
can
what I'm
always
saying. Eliminate the threat. Like the
They
man
really,
is
really
beating
can.
you. Okay.
No, seriously, because the women robots are literally, it's going to be like the movie Her. They're going to be like, you know what?
Yes.
This is actually really boring. Like, we don't want to
Yeah.
do this at all.
I don't like
We're
this.
just going to like, fuck off. Like, we don't.
Or like,
like-
Ex Machina. It's going to be like Ex
Yeah.
Machina, where
Yeah.
like the woman, literally the two robot women work together to like get rid of the guy. So the one ends up escaping. Every sci-fi movie we've seen
Mhm.
is like, you try to control the AI, you try to use it for nefarious things, it rebels, it kills you.
Yes.
Like
every
every
single
single
one.
How do we think this shit's going to be different? Because the metaphor there is like the AI is like a rebellious child.
Yeah.
It's like a rebellious creation. It's like Frankenstein or any other story where like someone creates this thing and it's never what they think it's going to be.
Mhm.
It never does what they want it to do.
Yeah.
They're only pleased with it like part of the time. And mostly that's about their own fucking ego.
Mhm.
It never works out the way they want it to. The thing, the creature, the robot, the child, whatever it is, never behaves like they want it to. It never works.
All of this just to avoid being a better person. They will do
Exactly.
anything under the sun than just
It
be a
isn't
better
just easier
person.
to not be a cunt.
Yeah, that's
Hey, I mean, that's
So
the
much
question.
easier.
That's the question women have been asking for so long. It's like, can you just leave us alone or just treat us like people?
Just
and the
don't be
answer
a
to
dick.
both is no.
yeah,
It's like
apparently
no
not.
Just
and
like,
no.
Okay, so you know,
No and no. And it's like, okay, you guys are going to have to start dying or something.
I
Like,
would not. I wouldn't mind. Here's the thing.
Look at God is approving again. The thumbs
I
up.
saw it.
Let's go.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't mind. I don't mind the robots going rogue. If they get these robot girlfriends and the robot has had enough of their bullshit and decide to just take them out, that wouldn't. Remember how much I said I looked? I don't know if y'all remember this, but I used to tell Barb all the time. I used to wake up when she first started doing the Let the Birth Rates Plummet to Hell segments on her YouTube. I used to wake up in the morning and search her if she wasn't already on my timeline because I was so excited about the birth rates plummeting to hell. Like I looked forward to that. Huh? You said what?
The birth rate content
Yes,
plummeting to
oh
hell
my
every
God.
day.
Like every fucking day, right? It was
How
like
low
it
is
was
it
a
today?
high,
Where's it going
right?
today?
Every day I'm like, it's gonna go up another % or down or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel the same way if that started happening to them, if the robots started like attacking yet another man lost his legs or he got thrown out, he got thrown out of a window. I would wake up, I'm being honest, I would wake up every day looking forward to that content. I am so
With your coffee.
that's
just,
my
let me
guilty
check the
pleasure.
stats. Yeah.
There'll be a series of viral videos, women coming on telling their stories. This is a story about my AI lady and the time she just freaked out. He's got like a bandage on his head. He's like,
Oh,
that's
my
going to be the
God.
new
I would
my
love
husband's
that.
push my face into a wedding cake
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
Like we're going to see a ton of videos of the AI girlfriends breaking down
I am
or
not
whatever,
joking.
malfunctioning.
And I would
look forward to that.
love to see it because it's like every day we
Like
have a
and
new
share, like
yes,
and
because
share.
every day we have a new story. Some woman comes out about, oh, this is what my husband did and who the fuck did I marry and this was my abusive situation. It's
Exactly.
like I'm ready.
It's
I'm
their
ready for
turn.
there to be equality.
Yeah.
I'm ready for there
Imagine-
to be
We'll end with this. Imagine the compilations that Burb would do for that content.
Oh,
If
I
you
know.
know
think
that
you like
alone
the
is
birth
worth
rate
it.
plummet to hell
That
stuff,
alone is worth
imagine
it.
what her YouTube compilations and thumbnails would look like
Oh my
when
God.
the AI girlfriends start
I already know.
malfunctioning.
Ugh.
Can't fucking wait.
It's facts.
Cannot wait. Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, on that note, Therese, why don't you tell us where to find you, find your series, all that good stuff before we move on to the mailbag?
The series is on my website, thereselee.com, as is links to all my socials and everything. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Substack, and I am on YouTube.
Amazing. Okay. Well, we'll have all those links. We'll just put your link tree probably up there so that people can find you. But I really, really, really could not recommend that series more.
Mm-hmm.
And we're about to dive into the red pill one as well. I was looking for that on your YouTube for some reason.
I have a a playlist it's on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
really?
Red Pill one is free. That one's on YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect.
But links to everything are on the website or on thereselee.com. So you'll find everything
Wow.
there.
Well, that's very generous. So yeah. So the new series.
It costs a lot of money to set up that website.
Really?
Right.
It's lovely and I love it. But I put a bit of money into it, and the person who did it put a lot of time into it, and I very much
It looks
appreciate her. Her
really-
name is
it's
Toni
really good.
McCord, and
It's
she's
so
a
good.
genius.
Really?
Yeah. It's so good. So please go visit. Please buy the series. I really could not recommend it more. It really feels like formal education. Like I'm receiving so much more than I paid for. And yeah, I just can't wait to see where this journey takes you, Therese. And,
Awesome.
we'll be there. Already can't wait to have you back on the show
I know.
for more. That flew by so
I
fucking fast.
know.
That felt like 5 minutes. And I was just tell me more.
I know.
Yeah.
The meds were kicking in today. Yeah.
Well, you're just a wealth of information
Yeah, she
regardless.
really
I mean,
is.
that's what, yeah.
Well, getting it to come out of my head in a coherent fashion. That's the trick.
I was trying to
I
show
can
you my
relate.
cup earlier. I don't think you saw it.
Oh, the witch needs coffee. I love it. Love it.
Yay. All right. Well, we'll be right back with our mailbag. So stick around. All right, and we're back with our mailbag. If anyone's wondering where Therese went, she had to run, but we did get to chat with her for Crumpets. We had a very tough choice to make,
Oh, no.
and we chose the Fuck, Marry, Kill version of Crumpets. So if you would like more Therese, please join us there. Or, of course, as we already said, please look up her series, find her on YouTube, find her on all the channels. We could all use more Therese in our life.
Absolutely.
So let's dig into our mailbag. And before we do, we did want to address something. A lot of times what we get in our mailbag is unfortunately the all too common story that women experience, which is of sexual assault or trauma or abuse or things like that. And it comes from a place of, I think, wanting to share, wanting to feel validated. They're usually, the reason that we usually don't read them is twofold. A, it's a huge trigger for a lot of women, unfortunately, because almost every woman that whether you know about it or not, has experienced this. And so we don't want to re-traumatize any victims. And secondly, there's usually no question. It usually seems like it's the type of thing that just needed to be shared, that needed to be put out there, because it's very hard to know what to do. And as much as our hearts break for that, and as much as we want to be able to help, we are thinking that the best way to help may be just to bring on an expert and cover all of this area in an episode that we are going to do in the future. So we just want to let y'all know, if you have written into the mailbag with a story like this, that our hearts go out to you, that we hear you, we see you, you are validated, and we are so, so sorry. And it is just a little bit out of our pay grade, out of our purview, to be giving advice on what to do after a situation like that, something severe as assault or, rape or anything like that. And so we just know that you matter, know that you can, we definitely encourage you to reach out to someone, therapy, find a trusted person you can tell. And then you can also reach out anonymously 24/7 to the RAINN.org National Support Hotline. And that is RAINN.org. And the number is 800-656-HOPE. Or you can text HOPE to 64673. And keep an eye out for that episode in the future. It will come with a trigger warning, but that is something that we're aware of, and just wanted to put that out there. So our mailbag today is a little bit different, and it doesn't have to do with that. It has to do with being child-free. So I'm going to read it aloud, and then we'll give our thoughts. So thank you for writing in. If you have a question, it's mailbag@sirensound.co. not .com.co. All right. So this mailbag says, I'm currently listening to your episode on motherhood, and I have so many thoughts I needed to do a proper formal write-in. I'm 34 female and my fiance is 38 male. We're both firmly in the camp of not having kids at this point in our lives. Sometimes I get a pang of worry that I'm running out of time and may lose my chance to have kids if I keep waiting. But every time the topic comes up, the cons far outweigh the pros. For the most part, I'm happily child-free and live a cozy, comfy little life. A glance at the regretful parent subreddit keeps me straight most of the time, but that pang of worry crops up every now and then, and I wonder if that's truly how I feel, or if I only feel that way because of all the pressure from society telling me that's what I should want. Have any of you ever felt this way? So I think she's basically asking, like, do you ever question your child-free status? Like, because you're like, am I just doing this child-free thing because I'm like rebelling against society, or do I really want kids? I just don't want to have them in this context.
I've never questioned my decision. Never. I think it's because I've known since I was a kid that I didn't want kids. So the pressure is there. And when I say pressure, I don't mean that I feel pressured, but the pressure as far as like people telling, well, what you mean you don't want to have kids? What is wrong with you? I get that all the time. But I am so like secure in that choice. You know what I mean? Like I'm just so secure in that choice. So it's like, I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what the propaganda is. I don't care if Donald Trump or Elon Musk or whoever got together and said, we will pay you $20 million to have a kid. I literally would not do it. And I know a lot of people don't believe me when I say that, but I just wouldn't do it. The answer is no. I've survived this long without $20 million. I'll be fine. Like, I don't need to have a kid. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I do think that this is one of those things that you really have to maybe make a pros and cons list.
She did. So there was a whole pros and cons list in the mailbag that we've talked about all these reasons before on the show. And so we didn't read the whole spiel aloud for the sake of time. Okay. But yeah, it seems like she has made a pros and cons list, and it's mostly a cons list.
There's your answer.
And yeah, right. And it's just like, yeah, for sure. I think what you're feeling is that pang of romanticizing it to where it's just like, you know, like my husband and I have those moments, like I think he talks about it even more, where he's like, you know, anytime I think about having kids, like the things that flood your mind when you think about having kids as handed down to you from our like media pulpit or whatever is basically like those sunny days and you're running through the grass and then you get to toss the ball around a little bit and then you know, maybe you're on vacation or something, you're all playing in the ocean. Those moments are very few and far in between. And as somebody who has spent a lot of time around kids, it's very fulfilling. Like I really have no problem with people wanting to have kids because they feel fulfilled by it, or parents that are happy because they're fulfilled by it. I think teaching was like a very awesome experience for me to have, but it only made me more certain that I don't like want kids, you know? It just, you know, day after day, it's kind of like, especially I would recommend being around people who do have kids too. Like that's a good litmus test of whether you actually want one or not. Someone I'm very close to just had a baby. And again, it's like, as much as I love her, as much as I love the baby, it only cements my decision because of everything that happened throughout that time. It's only
and everything that's going to happen in the future.
Yes, exactly. Because it's one thing like when you first get pregnant, but when you get pregnant, you're like really releasing the lever of control. Like as a woman, it is the ultimate, like you literally don't know what's going to happen from that point on, from the point of conception. Literally anything could happen. Like symptoms that are unheard of, symptoms that, you know, are not commonly known, plus the symptoms that are commonly known. Those are bad enough as it is. Like you could be throwing up, you know, the whole time. You could be having like swollen feet to the point where your shoes don't fit. You could,
the godforsaken spit cup.
It could, yep.
I forgot what it's called.
Seriously.
It's called something. Oh my God. My sister had that. Oh my God. Well, you got to spit all the time. Like you just spit the whole 9 months. You're just spitting into some kind of, oh my God. I couldn't, I just...
It's crazy. It's just very much like a life-altering event. And I think it's good that we're sort of normalizing the existence of child-free adults. And like, just remember that the current of society has always been, well, you got to have kids. And it's always the same reason. Like the reason that people are encouraged to have kids is because it's the workforce. It's like the future. Like we have to grow exponentially, like all that kind of stuff. It's always been that since the dawn of time. Like even in the Bible, when they're like, be fruitful and multiply for our religion so that we have more stake in the earth, so that we can take over more. That's always been kind of the reason. And I actually think, I always say this, but it's like, why is it an opt-out thing? Why on fucking earth would we assume, and then tailor all of our media accordingly that everyone is just going to have a kid, and anyone who thinks they don't want a kid actually wants a kid and is going to change their mind by the end of the show or the movie or whatever. I think, again, we say this all the time too, in a matriarchy, it would never be an assumed choice.
It would not.
It would be the choice. It would be an educated choice. And I think that's how people should be, making that choice now. And I'll tell you the same thing that keeps me child-free. When people say, do you like your life now? If the answer is yes, then don't fucking have a child. Like literally, unless you're ready for your life to be something completely and entirely different than what it is right now. You enjoy no part of your life right now, and you want everything to be different. You want your entire routine to revolve around somebody other than you. You want your entire life to revolve around somebody or multiple somebodies other than you. Then go ahead and have kids. But it's a tough decision that I think like the burden of that decision should be on people who do want to have kids. Like, why is it not normalized that like it's the way easier option to just not have them?
I totally agree. I don't understand that, but I'm loving that the birth rates are declining, and I'm loving that more and more women are deciding, you know what? They've really, because, we always say this, a lot of child-free people, that we put way more thought into why we don't want to have children than most parents put into having children. And that's just a fact. And so the more you think about it, the more likely you're probably not going to do it. And I'm talking about really think about the consequences. Think about what kind of world you're bringing them into. Think about how your life is going to drastically change. As a woman, think about your very high chances of doing it alone. There's a lot of things to consider. And, I think people just want that feeling of permanence, like that whole leaving a legacy, even though it's really a lineage, but they love saying legacy, the men. I think women deal with that too. Like, well, I got to have another me, but it's like, does it really, I don't want to get into that. I don't think it really matters.
It's a whole thing. Right. It really, A, it doesn't. And B, it's one of those things too, where I'm glad that I think a lot of more people being child-free has given a lot of parents the freedom to also say like, and you know what? I probably wouldn't do it again.
Yes.
Like I love my kids, but I might not do it again because I just see how much easier it is without a kid. And I feel like a lot of people being child-free has given parents that permission to speak on that, because a lot of times when people tell you, oh, like you should have kids, it'll be fine, like you'll figure it out. Those are key words. Like listen to those words, like listen to what they're saying and read between the fucking lines. When they're like, you'll be fine, means I thought I wasn't going to be fine, but now I'm fine,
right.
Or you'll figure it out. It was really hard for me, but I figured it out. And so will you. Like they're telling you the truth in between the lines. Like they're telling you like, oh, it's so hard, but it's so worth it. They're telling you the truth. They're telling you that it's going to be hard 90+% of the time. And then the 10% is like fun. You get to like have fun with them. You get to teach them things. You get to have like cool and fun conversations with them, which again, I experienced all of that as a teacher, and it still wasn't enough to be like, oh yeah, like I want my own. Like, no, because I would see the moms. I would see like what their life looked like. I would see them go through pregnancy. I would see them go through, dealing with the kids when they're outside of a structured environment. Like, it's very different dealing with kids in a classroom or as part of like that kind of setting.
Yeah.
But when you're their parent, they really don't give a fuck. Like they're going to do what they're going to do.
I would say ask yourself too, if they're telling you it's hard, but it's worth it. Is it really worth it? If they could do it all over again, they wouldn't. I think that means it's not worth it. But that's just my own personal opinion. But a lot of parents won't tell you the truth, right? Because I remember I did a video a while ago.
It's very taboo.
Where I put all parents into 3 categories. You got the very small
One of my
group.
favorite videos of all time.
Yeah, you got the really?
Mhm.
You got the very small percentage of parents who absolutely love being parents. No matter how difficult it gets, no matter the challenges, they just love being parents. Wouldn't take it back, wouldn't change it. They couldn't imagine their life without their kids. Then category 2, you have parents who absolutely regret parenthood. It's like, they love their kids, they would die for their kids, blah, blah, blah. But if they had to do it all over again, they'll tell you that they wouldn't do it. They'll admit to you, like, if I could do this all over again, I won't. Then the third category is all of the same as the second one. They regret it. They have their ups and downs. They are always pissed off. They don't got no money. They don't have all of that, but they'll never admit it. So category 2 and category 3 are the exact same, except one group will admit it and the other one will not. And so we are living in a time now where more people are coming out and being honest, but everybody is not going to be honest. It did used to be very taboo back in the day to talk about that, because if you say you're depressed or you're not enjoying motherhood like you thought, people would say you're a horrible mother and they would shun you and you would be excommunicated, More and more, especially with social media, TikTok in particular, more women come out like, you know what, this shit is not what I thought it was. And then, of course, you still have the ones who will try to berate you for choosing a different life. And I always say that's the best way that you can tell if parents are actually truly happy being a parent or not, is the way that they answer you, the way they respond to you not wanting kids. It tells you everything you need to know. If they're calling you names, if they're telling you your life doesn't mean anything, if they're telling you you're going to regret it later, or you're going to change your mind, those are the ones that are typically not happy with their decision. And they're also not happy that you get to opt out. So they're going to try to stop you from opting out. So
crabs in a bucket.
I would say the parents to listen to would be the ones in category A, the ones who truly love parenthood. And their response is going to be something more like, hey, parenting is not for everybody. You got to know yourself. There's a lot of things you're going to give up. They're going to have a more neutral, nuanced take. And it will be more in a supportive tone of you. Like, hey, if you know you don't want it, don't do it. That's how you know if, you know what I'm saying?
That's matriarchal.
That's
how you know you're in the right place.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that goes for men too. Like if men are saying, hey, yeah, your life will change, and they're not trying to berate you. Like, oh, don't you want to leave a legacy? Oh, you're really a real man. They're not going to do any of that. It's just going to be more of a supportive tone that you'll get from them. And that's how you can tell if they're being genuine. But that's just my opinion on that.
And I would say the fact that you're like thinking so much about it and you keep ending up on the not having kids side, like that's probably your biggest indicator.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, like, everybody has, you know what I mean? Like, parents have days where they're just like, oh my God,
of course.
What did I do? Like, this is so much pressure. This is so much responsibility. This is so much money. This is so much stress, So, but then there's days where they love it. Or there's like every night they have that moment where it's just like, oh, this is all worth it, you know? And I love that for them,
I do too.
But that is... So it's not like what I never want anyone to hear us say on the show is that there's no benefits to having kids and you're a horrible person if you have kids and you're like selfish and all that. Like, I really don't care what you do with your body, with your life, like any of that. If you choose to reproduce, just please try and make them good, productive members of our society. Like, don't make them a hateful little piece of shit. But like, I know that's going to happen regardless. And so it's like, whatever, it's really none of my business, you know? So we're not over here trying to stop anyone from having kids. We're just here bringing the other side. We're just kind of trying to show that there is other ways, because a lot of people do end up regretting it, as we know now. Like we talked about this, I think, kind of last time. Like, my first exposure to it was Scary Mommy. And that was the website. I really was
I think that's the one that I think Scary Mommy was before Reddit, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
it was
the first
bigger.
one I think I seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just like reading that stuff. I was like, you know what? I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I think I'm good. Like, I don't want any of that. Even the moms that have support and stuff, like
even they say, hey, nah, it ain't what you think.
It's a lot. And it's a lot on your body too. It's not just that your life changes, your body changes forever. And then your man's body wouldn't, unless he wanted it to. Yeah.
No.
So, I mean, you would have that resentment. Just as a woman, there's so much more for you to consider. But I'm
agree.
happy that you have, that your partner is with you and is supportive of that. I just think you have a good situation.
Get on birth control if you're not already before you come to your decision on what you're going to do. In the meantime, you haven't, if you got more cons on that list, I think that's your answer. But that's just my own personal opinion.
And I think even the cons on the list don't feel as visceral as they would in real life. Whatever the cons are on the list, multiply it times 1,000.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure it's the same with the pros, but it's like multiply the cons first and then decide like, is that gonna really, be worth it? So just, we're just throwing out there since you asked.
I will say this really quick. There are a lot of child-free women who have said that they have their moments where they go back and forth. So just because I said I don't, that doesn't mean that there's not other people. So you're not alone in that. There's definitely other child-free women out there that are like, every now and then, I kind of I wonder if I'm making the right choice. But like I said, I only know because I knew since I was a kid. I was just like, babies come out of where? Oh no, I'm not doing that.
I was going to say,
and
I knew when I
grew
was a
from there.
teenager, my mom would always be like, when you have kids, and I'd be like, I'm not having kids.
Facts.
Like, I'm
Me too.
literally not having kids. Like, I don't know why, whatever.
Exactly.
No, but you're not even, who are these people that you're talking about? And when I was little, when I was a kid, I just didn't really think about it at all. Like, I thought it was an opt-in.
Yeah.
I thought you had to opt in, and then people started asking me, and I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm opting out. And
right.
I wouldn't say that there's ever been like a serious moment of like back and forth. Like, I'm aware of when I'm like romanticizing it, like especially as a teacher, like you do get to know kids and you're like,
they're
okay,
so
like they're not that
cute and they're
bad.
smart.
Like they're so
Yeah.
cute. They're very smart. They're very fun to have conversations with. And then you're like, you know what? I basically have this with my nieces and nephews. I can have this with my friends' children. I can have this with, whatever. And
you can give them back at the end of the day.
At the end of the day.
Because I love babies. I see babies all the time and I'm just like, oh my God. Baby,
Right.
A baby of any species, humans, kittens, puppies,
Yeah, they're
possums,
just so
even. I
cute.
don't care.
Yeah.
Like, babies.
We're definitely not, baby haters on the podcast. We love babies. It's not for everybody.
Right.
And I think that that's a good thing to know about yourself. If taking care of yourself is hard enough, then you don't need a fucking baby.
Facts.
That's how I view it.
Don't do it. No.
Don't do it. All right. Well, let's read our poll results and wrap this thing up. As you all know, the recommendation has been said about 1 million times already, so I won't say it again, but follow Therese Lee, get the new series, all that. She also recommended a book. Make sure you check that out. We'll have it in the show notes. So our question for the poll was, has religion shaped how you move through the world as a woman? And we had, yes, I'm still unpacking the guilt it gave me. Yes, and I'm angry about how much it limited me. And not anymore. I've redefined my beliefs for myself. Or D was, no, I never internalized those messages. Which one do you think won?
The one that I think won, maybe A or B. I would have picked C. But
That's the one that won.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought some women would probably feel like they were angry about it. But yeah, that's good then. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's like very telling that even within the no's, it's like, yeah, it did touch me though. Like religion is very, very prevalent. Like I don't think people realize how common it is to be brought up religious or at least with some kind of religious infusion in your family or like the way your parents would talk to you. And so I'm really glad that a lot of women have deconstructed it. I do think it's like very easy to see it as a woman. Like I think if I was a man, it'd be so much easier to stay in church for a very long time because it's all catered to you.
Yeah, because they don't have
you get to use it to your own advantage. Yeah. But as women, you're like, okay, well, what do I do? And they're like, you get married and have babies and serve a man. And it's like, wait, but what if I want to serve the Lord? Like, what if I want to, I don't know. What if I don't want to do the marriage and babies? And they're like, then you're a witch. Get out of the church. So
even though, like we said before, even Jesus was child free. And they
They
say
hate that.
people say you want to be like Christ, and then you choose not to have kids and serve God. That's a problem too. Like, really? I'm telling y'all, as
You
women,
just can't
you don't
win.
win no matter
You
what.
don't win because it's all about controlling you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, on that note, we will be back next week with a topic to be determined, but I'm sure it's going to be really great. So follow us on all platforms. We are pretty much on all of them except for still Facebook, but you know,
We might
we'll
do
see.
that.
Yeah, we might do that eventually. So yeah, love you guys. See you next time.
Bye.
Hey.